Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us today again on Triumph Over Tragedy. If you're new to the podcast, what we do is we just take our armor off. We become transparent. We show you our flaws, and in the hopes that it'll help you. We all have struggles. We all just daily have mud to get through and just grime and things like that. My next guest is an amazing person. She actually has had some very difficult things. Her husband died. She had a son that went through cancer and the trauma that caused in her life and his life and her husband's life. She's going to talk to you about that today. And at the end of the podcast, I was giving her the last word just to say something that might help somebody. And she actually did something that she asked me, actually, is really what she did. And it took me by surprise, and I kind of was not prepared for that question and the reality that I face in some of my challenges every day. And I hope that you can learn from it too, and I hope that you can learn from her incredible story. Will you please help me welcome Yvonne Braun? Thanks for being here, Yvonne.
Thank you, Matt. I'm glad I could be here.
Absolutely. You have a story.
I do.
I've learned a lot about you in the last few minutes before we, aired this, and I'm really thankful that you're here. I really think that, what you can share will help people, and that's what it is. And because I believe in watching you over the years, not in a creepy way, but just in a obviously with what I've gone through and with what I want to do and help people is you have to kind of observe, right? And have people actually had triumph, or do they wallow in the tragedy? And you haven't wallowed in your tragedy, and there's been quite a few of them. Lost your husband, and you had a this is a little emotional and hard for me, but you had a child with cancer, and I lost a child, so those things are really tough. I know you didn't lose your child, but still it hurts as a parent, as a dad, and so I really appreciate you doing what you're doing. So thanks a lot for being here. But first, we're going to talk about one of your boys. Tell me how many boys do you have?
I have 4 boys.
4 boys.
Yes.
Any girls?
A granddaughter.
I know the answer, but
a granddaughter and a daughter-in-law.
Yeah. But it's different, isn't it?
Yes.
Boys are just different.
They're
not
easy.
Bad different, or
they're easy, but their toys are more expensive, I think.
Like the 4-wheelers and snowmobiles. Is that what? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their trucks that they buy.
Yes. Right. Yeah. They start getting. Yeah. Absolutely. My son. One of my sons has a truck that I used to have, in fact, and my dad also used to have it, but it's got almost 500,000 miles on it. Wow. But it, he just keeps throwing money at it, right? And bigger wheels, and so I get it. It's fun. It's fun. It's good. But football. We were talking about football off camera.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that a little bit more?
My youngest son, Michael.
Yeah.
He's a 10th grade now. He's 16.
Yeah.
Just turned 16 this summer. He has been put into the quarterback position this year.
Just thrown into it.
Basically, yes.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Good.
And he's done, this last game was real exciting for him. He got to run in a couple touchdowns. He threw a couple touchdown passes.
Nice. How many games have they played so far?
3.
3.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. He's quarterbacked all 3?
Yes.
Wow.
So
that's fun.
Yeah, he kind of fell into the position when the first string guy got hurt. So
okay, and not to interrupt, but I feel a movie moment right now. There's a fly around. Did you notice the fly that's around? What movie moment am I talking about? What comes to your head when I say that? There's a fly. There's 2 people sitting there. Think. It goes back to the 80s.
You're going to stump me on that.
I'll give you that.
You're going to stump me on that.
The Karate Kid. chopsticks, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I feel like I should go get a pair of chopsticks for each of us.
It.
And I can't do it either. I can't even
give me a towel.
I like shovel, I put the chopsticks together and put my face down to the plate and shovel it in. It's about as good as I can do with the chopsticks. But anyway, I digress.
I can get the fly with a towel if you need me to.
Towel? Yeah.
That's much easier.
Yeah, good. That is a lot easier. Sorry, I digress. So 3 games. They have quite a few games left. Is he having fun with it? Is he like do you hear some of his fears? Maybe you don't want to share that.
Well, before his first game, that was right before school started, he was pacing. He'd be downstairs and he'd be upstairs, looking in the fridge, shut the fridge, go back down, come back up. And he was just so nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's a lot of responsibility.
For sure it is.
And my oldest son, Jeff, actually played for the Med City Freeze. He's one of the founders.
Okay. Oh, fun.
He was the quarterback for them, which he never was in high school either. Okay. But that was always exciting to watch him play because I'm like, it's totally different too because the kids are singing, "Go Dad!"
Right. Yeah,
which you don't hear in high school.
That is different, right?
He was, it's
fun.
When Jeff found out that Michael was going to be quarterback too, he was pretty pumped to.
Yeah. Give him some pointers. Advice. Yeah, good. Yeah. Able to make it to the games and stuff too, or? I have, but Jeff hasn't yet. Yeah. And they might come out Monday night for that game. Nice. Because that's a different kind of pressure, right? Like when your older brother, and I don't have any brothers, but I just know like other people in my life, they'd come and watch me play basketball, and that's a different kind of pressure than like your parents or like they're probably quieter than his mom when she's on the sideline. Really? So kind of like my mom then, huh? Yeah, my boys usually would move away from me. Good, right? I was glad I was on the court, not sitting next to my mom. I didn't have to listen to it. I just zoned it out, right? Yeah, they'd always be like, "Yeah, Mom, I heard you on the field." Yeah, God, I'm doing my job right. See, I was the kind of opposite. I didn't really hear on the court. I didn't play football, but I didn't really hear that. I just was in, like, my mind was just in it all the way. So I didn't hear, not a little bit here and there, but yeah. I don't heckle or anything like that. I just do the good hollering. The good hollering, but it's loud. It sounds loud, like yeah, good. That's fun. What are some of the things that you like to do? I think it's summertime is winding down here, and camping is my big thing because I do daycare, so I work out of my home. Yeah, and come Friday, I want to get away from my work. Yeah, right. I started camping over by Fairmont this is my second season there. Okay. My camper set there, and it's just been the best thing. Yeah. With football, I think a lot of people can relate to that too. It's just, you just get removed from everything. Yeah. I love to travel, so I understand. Just get out of there, you know, right? And and with football season now, I think it's God's way of weaning me out of the camping season because it has to close down. Okay, right. You can't go on Friday nights anymore, so you have to wait till Sunday or Saturday morning to come back. Yeah. But I'm not looking forward to winter. Okay. I'm not a winter person at all. Did you grow up here? I grew up in Minnesota. No. Yeah. Right across the border in Stacyville, Iowa. Okay. Yeah, I know very well. Population like 400. Yeah. 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 Came from a huge family. My parents had 15 kids. Yeah. One passed away when he was a year and a half, the second one born, so none of us knew him, but sure. There's still 14 of us and a whole boatload of us after that. Fun. And so, like, everybody get together for Christmas. Like, the get-together's got to be insane. We usually do a family reunion every year, plus the general Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas type thing. Nice. I think right now we're at about 139, 140 of us. When you all get together. If we're all there, yeah. Wow. Which doesn't happen very often. You have to, like, rent the Mayo Civic Center or something, right? Well, the community center is what we do now. Yeah, that's cool. But that's something we just started doing a couple years ago now, is just renting that. Or else my sister's has a huge pole barn that we... summertime. Yeah, cool. That's fun. What do you get into? Like, do you get into politics? Do you get into, like, anything that you're, like, really involved in? A little bit into the politics, but I don't put it way out there. There's some people that I'll talk about it with, but not Yeah,
not just everybody. Just because I'm like,
you're passionate about it with a small group. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Because you know what? There's too many that don't want to hear other sides.
It's hard to have a conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if you saw a post that I had on social media recently. And I'm not going to, if you've seen it, you would know what I'm talking about. There's a little boy and some popcorn, and there's a football player. Yep. Yeah. And so.
Be more the boy.
Right. So to me, there's just there's a place and a time to have good conversation, respectful conversation, and hear both sides. And we all have platforms, and we all need to use them, and things like that. But it needs to be in and out of respect. And I think that so many people, they don't understand the difference between, like, there's not a right and a wrong in a lot of situations. There's just an opinion.
Right.
And so many people, and me included, I'm not saying I'm like excluded from this, but they just want to be right, like I got to be right in this situation. And there was comments on there, and in both sides of the fence, and I'm like, it's not about right and wrong. It's about a matter of respect. It's about a matter of someone's opinion, and I stayed out of it.
And I get to the point now where you don't even know what anything being reported is true or false anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah. No,
so
it's from the political.
Yeah.
I know. It's so hard to find out, isn't it?
I'm like, how do you know who to trust?
Yeah. We don't trust any of them, apparently, is what it seems like. No, I know. It's almost like I know this is cliche, but the lesser of evils. It's just like they all seem evil. And I know that's not true, but you know what I mean. It's like... certainly, maybe in my perspective, there's a level of evil there that they have, but that's just, again, my opinion.
Exactly. That's how I kind of feel too. I'm like, well, and so I keep my political stuff kind of on the down low.
Well, there might be one or two people that are listening or watching. Let's talk about politics. Let's get it out. No?
Nah, let's pass on that.
No, I won't talk about it either, really. I mean, I would talk about it, but in a fair way. Like, I have some of the best conversations I have with people are on the other side of the aisle than what I am. And I'm not really I'm not down a party line by any means. I shouldn't say it like that, but I certainly vote based off of my convictions and in things. And that generally seems to be one side, for myself. But I have the best conversations. Those are some of the best conversations that we have because it's respectful.
Yeah.
Because we're not trying to fight each other on it. Because we're not trying to say I'm right and you're wrong. We're just, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
Why do you think that way? And things like that.
I think it gets harder to have those conversations because they want to fight it.
Yeah.
And they can't have that.
They want to be right.
And they can't have that conversation.
Right. And they want to be right. And it's not about right and wrong. It's about this is an opinion. Yeah. So anyway, cool. It's like saying, the wall behind me is purple. Well, no, that one is. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's a right and a wrong answer. But, so it's fun. And that's why we're here to have a respectful conversation.
We can do that.
Help people. And obviously we have to stay out of politics.
Let's do that.
It's a heated arena for most people. And I'm certainly not wanting to talk about it. But let's just really hit it hard right now. And what do you want to talk about first? And let's should we start with Todd?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about that. I know a little bit about it, and I'll be honest, I know a little bit about you and your story, but I want this to be a surprise and a conversation for me too. And so, as you probably noticed, I didn't ask you a lot of specific questions on it. I already knew some of the things I knew. But what I know the most of is, like I said earlier, is you have triumphed over your tragedy. And tell us about it.
Well, I think I'm going to actually back you up to Nathan first.
Okay, that's great.
Because that kind of pulls from where Todd ended up.
Okay.
I guess.
Sure.
So Nathan is my third son.
Yeah.
He's now 20 years old.
Yeah.
When he was 10, he was diagnosed with leukemia.
Okay.
He went into remission right away, so he's actually just celebrated his 10-year cancer-free.
Right. That's wow. Really.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's a hard thing to watch your child go through that.
I can't even imagine.
He wouldn't eat hardly anything.
Yeah.
And Todd would be like, I'll go to Baghdad to get you goat nuts if that's what you want to eat. Just eat something.
Just eat. Yeah.
But, you want nuggets and you get it to him and he won't eat anything. And Todd had anxiety. And so he had to work with that a lot because to be at the hospital. Like some of us have that white coat
Sure.
anxiety. Many people do.
Dentist and all those other things that really drive people crazy.
Yeah, and he had to really work at that, I think, a lot because we had to split up our caring of him when he'd be in the hospital.
We have other kids.
Yeah, he had vacation from work, and the guys that were generous and donated vacation to him.
Yeah.
So he would take the day shift. I'd do my daycare, get off, going to Rochester. He'd come home and hang out with the other kids, and I would stay until the morning and then come home and we'd flip-flop again.
Yeah.
But a doctor once told him that it can be something that would trigger the cancer virus. So Todd had been sick the month prior to Nathan's diagnosis.
Wow.
And Todd believed that whatever he had that month before is what triggered Nathan's cancer.
Sure.
And he believed that forever. And I don't think anyone could have told him differently.
Yeah.
But all it took was one doctor saying that because you want to ask how, why,
yeah, right.
why.
Like, yeah,
and
for sure.
So they think they can simplify it by telling you, it could be just a virus that activated his cancer. And for him, it took it to a different level, though. Which
obviously, it was someone with anxiety would probably eat like at your mind constantly, 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah. And it's just going through the whole cancer thing. I remember a conversation with the one son, Ben, who's just not quite 2 years older than Nathan about.
Okay.
Mom, you don't understand the stress I'm under. I'm like, really? Try me. Tell me what kind of stress you're under.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's all Nathan. I'm like, honey.
Yeah.
Nathan would gladly trade places with you.
For sure.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Don't ever wish that upon yourself, even.
No, exactly.
For the attention and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow.
So that's kind of. Todd was diagnosed with PTSD.
Okay.
With his anxiety, and which kind of led to some depression too. But
so post-traumatic stress syndrome, would that happen at what point that he was diagnosed with that?
That happened. He actually wasn't diagnosed till probably a few years after Nathan was diagnosed. So probably like 2012, and Nathan was diagnosed in 2009.
Okay.
And people automatically assume that if they have PTSD that they were in the service, and Todd was not in the service.
Sure.
But he had many things in his life that kind of started, when he was 5 years old, he fell through the ice and fought his way down the river trying to get out.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty, but I can understand where people think it's a military or maybe a police officer or a firefighter. You're seeing things on a more regular basis than what I would see.
And he actually helped at came upon a couple accidents, which he helped out on too, which I don't think, or I should say they probably added to his disorder that way.
Sure.
Because I know on one of them, the person had passed away then too. So
sure.
And he was one of the first ones on the scene for that. He, there's just different things that add in throughout life, and before you know it, it gets hard to handle it anymore.
Yeah. So I understand that completely because, I lost my daughter. I came upon the accident when they were still trying to extract her. So I get the accident piece. I get the kid under stress. I lost mine. I'm not comparing, but I get where he's at. That's stressful. That's
and when you already have
traumatic
that type of anxiety.
Exactly.
It's hard. And I know he really struggled with it. And he had tried to stop he had turned to alcohol to kind of he's referred to as reward himself for not dying that day.
Really?
Whether he thought he'd die on the road or at work, that was his reward at the end of the day, because you know what, I didn't die, I'm going to have a beer.
Sure.
And he tried to quit once or twice, and he just couldn't do it.
Sure.
I think the night that he died, or the morning that he passed, I say a lot. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny you say that. I just had a conversation with someone. A friend of mine called me, and he goes, and I just said again, but he said, I didn't really understand that you could actually have a conversation like that and not say very many times. Apparently, I don't say it very often, he said. And now maybe you're rubbing off on me. So you're good.
When I'm not scripted, it's really hard.
And that's what this is. That's why it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is from your heart, which really helps people understand that this isn't scripted. That they can feel that, see that. So say as many times as you want to.
Okay.
I'll count. No,
you will be. So Todd had knee surgery.
I saw what you did there. You were going to say when you use so instead.
You just wait how many times I say so now.
Yeah.
I need to get back on track here where I was going.
Yeah.
I told you I'd be like squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So April 14th of 2013 is when Todd passed away.
Yeah.
So it's just about 3.5 years after Nathan was diagnosed.
Sure.
Nathan had just finished his last chemo treatment, actually. The maintenance stage was in November of 2012.
Okay.
Todd went and had knee surgery done.
Okay.
Friday, it was Good Friday. I remember that, because then at Easter that following Sunday, they did family pictures with his sisters and his mom.
Okay.
Which we look back now and it's like, it was just a real candid, quick shot. Yeah. Because he was on the couch, couldn't move.
Right.
So they were right by him,
Yeah.
And
they knew that he couldn't move, so it's like, let's get a picture kind of deal, right?
Right.
I gotcha.
So it was one of those things, like, you look at it now, it's like, aren't you guys glad that you had that opportunity to take that? Because I'm one of those people right now that my boys probably think I'm nuts, but every year we do our family pictures, and they're single shots, whatever, but I'm kind of stickler on that.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm the
because
same
you
way.
never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah.
And so Todd, the night before, he had been at the neighbor's.
Okay.
And had been drinking, and he had come home at one point when I asked him to, and went back.
Okay.
And when he hadn't been coming home, I got to, I waited for him, and I was worried because the neighbors live on an incline from our house. So
sure.
Having knee surgery.
Yeah,
didn't want him to fall and wreck the knee again.
Yeah.
And he ended up going for a walk.
Okay.
They found him in the ditch the following morning.
Oh, wow.
And it had been snowing, or not snowing, but more sleet.
Okay.
We had like 2 inches of sleet on the ground.
Yeah.
That morning.
I remember.
And we couldn't. I had gone looking for him during the night, had the police search for him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, he went walking, I know, but I just don't know. I can't find him anywhere.
Right.
And the police, I think the sirens went off about 7:30. I heard one.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm going to get in the shower. I'm going to go to church. We're going to go to church. He'll be coming home any minute. And then it got out, and I only heard the one, mind you. And I went for a quick drive around, came back, and one of the boys had a friend over. And I said, I'm going to take you home. It was about 10:15, and took him home. And I took the long way around, by the police station, by one of his friend's house.
Okay.
Thinking maybe he went the Manorville way.
Sure.
On the trail, whatever. And Nathan calls me. He's like, Mom, where you at? I said, I'm kind of going the long way through Manorville home. I said, why? He goes, because there's police here.
Wow.
I think I knew.
Yeah. Even before then?
Even before that.
Yeah.
I just had this feeling.
Yeah.
And when you pull up and then you see 6, 7 officers in your garage.
Yeah.
And I can just remember thinking, how am I going to tell my boys?
Yeah.
How am I going to tell his mom?
Yeah.
His sisters?
So you felt responsible that you needed to tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, for his mom, I had his sister and one of his cousins, because they went over to, and I had them go down and tell her because I couldn't leave where I was at.
Yeah.
News spread so fast.
Right.
And it was amazing, the people that reach out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had just started at Community Celebration Church between Byron and Casson in September.
Sure.
Weren't even members there.
Mm-hmm.
We just started going and being part of the church, and Pastor Sue showed up.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, can we have Todd's funeral there? She was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was huge for me.
Yeah.
Because it not having to be a member there
And you're
shows
able...
me that how much that we mattered.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Right.
The church actually has been probably more of my, through my tragedies,
Yeah.
that's been my triumph. It's hard to explain to people how just the change and how you look at
it's
things.
given you a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually led Bible studies, which and I go to Bible studies, and those are things I before it was religion, it was just on the back, something that you just did, and
Yeah.
now it's...
So that kind of changed things for you. Do you mind if I share my story on PTSD?
Please.
I was in a really difficult spot. I had lost my daughter, was in the middle of divorce, and lost a business that I had to fire, all within 7 months. And a few other little things in between, but that's traumatic. Mm-hmm. And I had a retail store and built, the fire was at the wood shop. We built custom wood furniture, and it burned down to the ground, and there was no saving it. It didn't have insurance on it because of all the things that all the costs that life had incurred at those moments, and had what I needed to legally and things, but it didn't amount to anything. So it was just done. So daughter, done, gone, can't change that. No. Middle of divorce, done, can't change that. And business, 3 huge things. And a guy came up to me. I was packing up the retail store, and a guy came up to me, and I had met him before. He had visited the store, and he comes and he says, and I'm going to give you the really short version, and he says that he's a counselor, and let's call him Joe. And Joe says, I'm gonna tell you, Maddie, and he's really, really good at what he does. And he says, you have PTSD. and here's what you need to do, and you need to get on these medications, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you're not going to be able to work, and you're not, all these things. And I'm like, I'm scared to death.
Wow.
And my potential PTSD just increased dramatically just by this conversation. And it's no disrespect to him, but there was a moment there that I just said, okay, I was convinced. And I probably did have it, and maybe I still do have it. But what I decided to do, and that's why we're sitting here, and that's why I'm going here, I said, you know what? I said, Joe, you're right. I do have it. I do have PTSD. But here's my version. I am going to properly trust sovereign direction. And I don't know if I'd heard that somewhere before. I still to this day, I don't know why I came up with that. But whether you believe in God or not, in things, most people in their different things believe there's some sort of sovereign, being or whatever. And I don't believe that it's just some being. I believe in God the Father and God the Son and the Holy Spirit. But I'm like, I am going to properly trust sovereign direction. And I think that that's where you're at, because these are events that are very traumatic. And whether we talk about the other ones or not, this in itself is very traumatic. We've talked about the cancer. It's very traumatic. You could have PTSD too. But when you talk about your church and things like that, what you're saying to me is that you are properly trusting sovereign direction. Yeah. And you've taken those things and those terrible moments of your life, and you've done things to help other people, and you've just trusted that that's a purpose and a direction.
Right. And I
know that was long, but
I can't imagine. I look at my past. I mean, other things I shared with you from growing up even.
Yeah.
And I had a stroke when I was 24 from birth control pills. So people would never know that.
Right.
But my arm knows it because it hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And a couple
That's why you didn't punch me with that arm, huh?
Yeah, I'll punch you with my right. It's better.
Yeah, great.
Ask my boys. But squirrel.
Yeah. No, that's what. Hey, this is real life, right? This isn't like we talked about that too earlier off camera, and this isn't just a quick little 2-minute interview. Yeah. This is just talk your heart, speak your heart.
I guess where I was going with this is that I don't ever want my past, my bumps in the road, my detours, to define me in a negative way now. I want it to be that I've learned from them, I've grown from them, I've grown with my relationship with God through them, but I won't let them impact me negatively. Right. You're going to take the pictures, right? I'm going to take the pictures, Yeah. And I think even for my sons, too. Yeah. I mean, I have some pretty great boys. You do. And I don't know all of them by any means, but... You know Michael. I do. And I couldn't be more proud of how they've all turned out. Because we've all been through cancer. Yeah, for sure. We've all lost Todd. Yes, for sure. And they're good people. Yeah. They're people that grown-ups like to be around, Yeah. Not just their friends on the same level, but... Yeah. And your little boy is 16 years old, so he's a people now, right? He's not a little people. He's a young man. It's right. That's cool. They're all bigger than me. Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's one of those things I'm like, I thank God, I guess, for allowing them to be, they could have gone off the deep end. Oh, for sure. They could have rebelled. They could have done so much. And yet, before we started, my son had called me about. Yeah, I know. That was cool. The call about looking for his house and stuff like that. Yeah. And just, I know that they know I'm here. Yeah. And that they can call me whatever they need. Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. And we can talk about Todd and have memories and share. We don't have to, I mean, it's okay to talk about him. You know, like some people don't.
It's good to.
You know,
yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like people don't want to talk about Deej around you because they don't want to bring it up?
I get scared when people, yeah, there's definitely that. People don't want to talk about her around me because they think that, you know, how am I going to react or whatever
don't
else.
Want to make you sad.
I'm healthy. I mean, I really, maybe that'll change someday. Maybe something will happen and some will just trigger and I'll go the wrong direction. I can't say that, but I'm healthy. Yeah. And so that's important to do that. And when people don't talk about a loved one's name when you lose them and whatever level that is, to me, that's dangerous. And I'm not a professional, but I can't even imagine the place that you would have to be in your mind to not talk about that person, talk about what happened to an extent. Right. You don't have to do it as much as I do. You know, I mean, I do it way too much and it's really difficult. I'm not going to lie. Right. But what I've learned to be healthy is that I process that stuff on a regular basis. And so I understand in order to be healthy, there's a level of conversation that you have to be able to have with someone about that person. Yeah. I was talking about my grandpa just this morning with someone at the airport, and they just started bawling. And I'm like, I know you didn't know him. You know?
You storyteller.
And it's like, and it's like but it reminded them of somebody. And in case they watch or listen, and I'm not going to give anything away, but what I want to say about it is it did remind them of somebody that they buried twice. They buried them in the earth, and they buried them in their mind. And that's painful to me to see, right? And so just that story of my grandfather brought that out, and we were able to have a very similar conversation to this. But it's so good to hear you talk about that and taking the pictures and what you just said about the, it's good.
I always tell him, at the football games, Todd was a great football player.
Yeah.
And I said, got to remember, he's got the best seat in the house.
Right.
So he's watching you. So show off if you can for him. But I know that they have such great memories of their dad.
Yeah.
And that's important too.
Super important. Yeah.
And it just, it was a fluke that, when they fell in the ditch and they were able to.
Well, and it's, that's terrible. It's so.
What are the chances of having this much ice
exactly
that day and hypothermia?
In April. And so it's that cold and that's. Man,
but I always tell the boys, you know what? He's good.
Yeah.
Because they too knew that he had the anxiety and stuff. So I say, you know what? Now he doesn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
I try to make it show him the brighter side, I guess.
Yeah. You can stop me if you want to, but I'm going to ask you. I listen to you and you say the brighter side and these positive things. Tell me about the bad. In order to get good, there's bad. I just got done telling you about me being healthy, but there was bad.
Oh, yeah. Feeling very alone.
Sure.
Feeling blamed.
Wow.
Feeling like I was being treated more like his ex-wife than his widow.
Wow.
That was hard.
Yeah.
So there's some hard times.
Yeah. But you don't live in those hard times.
No.
And that's why I wanted to ask, because I see that, hear that.
A year after Todd died, Pastor Steve at church, his sermon was about forgiveness. And he let those 3 red balloons go to the ceiling.
Sure.
And I remember the tears were just coming down.
Yeah.
Probably there now. And I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had to forgive so many. And forgive myself.
Did you feel guilty then yourself too? And I mean, you said blame and things. Did you feel guilty? Was that your guilt, or was that someone else trying to make you feel that way?
You always wonders, if I would have gotten up earlier, the should have, would have, could haves.
Sure.
Maybe if he would have stayed there versus going back there, he wouldn't have gone for the walk and fallen.
Yeah.
So you always have something that you want to blame yourself,
Sure.
And I've gotten past that because I understand more of accepting God's will.
Sure.
It's not my will, it's His.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like we talked about that off camera, understanding that there's a purpose for something, and in that we have to, at some point anyway, and I'd want to, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but at some point, if we ask the why question, we have to forget about the why, because the why is not up to us.
No.
The why is not up to us. I don't care what you believe. The why is not up to us. No. But what is up to us is what we do with it, right? What the purpose is behind it. And the purpose might be that you just love on your boys more. That might be all that the purpose is. That hasn't been the case for you, but that is so important.
Yeah. And I told you too, I said I did my testimony at church.
Yeah.
I think it's been a couple of years now. And that covered me from early teens on, basically, and stuff I've been through. And that was where some of my forgiveness coming back from people that had done wrong to me.
Sure.
Early in my life. And then, probably about a month ago, I guess it's been, a gentleman from the church heard the testimony. And
like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he said it really hit him because of knowing that Todd had PTSD.
Yeah.
So he asked me to speak at the Legion here on Labor Day.
Okay.
And it was a 2-part, twofold. It was about PTSD.
Sure.
And they also covered suicide too.
Okay.
So
and PTSD a lot of times does lead to that in things. So it's to understand PTSD is important. I think that's good.
And it's just that the awareness that it can happen to you.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Me.
And when I say that too, I hope you understand. I'm not saying that I'm putting that aside and that it doesn't exist. That's not at all what I mean. What I'm saying is that I'm doing something different with it.
Yep.
Right? Like, I have it. Of course I do. I mean, it's a lot of traumatic events, and
it can happen to anybody.
And there's days that, I was actually listening to a different podcast I told you my flight and some things, and I had to take a shuttle, and and I'm listening to a different podcast, and I'm like, wow. And there was a few tears. Yeah. I'm like, this is hard. There is still that post traumatic stress disorder. That what I was listening to just really hit me. It hit me hard. So it does exist, but we have to turn it around, do a 180 with it.
Don't let it consume you.
No. And it doesn't and easily can.
Right.
For sure. But We have to be the realist. I'm going to tell you a short little story. Okay. I like to tell stories.
Couldn't tell.
Ask Michael, right?
Yeah, he would tell me.
He would. But there's 3 people, and these 3 people are they're going to walk from one end of their city to the other end of their city, and there's a pessimist, there's an optimist, and there's a realist. And so they start out on their walk, and the pessimist is constantly looking down, and all of a sudden, as he's looking down, and he's walking, he's watching the path in front of him and his feet only, and he hits his head and falls over, right? Well, then there's the optimist. And what does the optimist do? Well, the optimist is looking up, and he's walking, and then all he's doing is, this is great, and this is good, and well, he loses his footing and falls in a manhole. Well, then you have the realist. And what does the realist do? The realist is constantly looking forward and looking at his surroundings and adjusts his path accordingly. Right. And that's what I think we're at. Right. What we're saying is that be the realist. The pessimist, we're going to that PTSD will consume us, and we will do terrible things to ourselves and probably other people. The optimist means that we're ignoring it, and we're not saying it exists, and we're trying to set it aside and not address it. But the realist is saying what we're saying, I think, and this happened. Mm-hmm. But here's what we can do with it.
Right.
Did you like my story?
I did.
Thank you.
I kind of knew where it was going, though. I figured it out.
Yeah, right? Have you heard it before?
I have not.
Yeah. I love that story. It's so true.
I was just going to say it's very true to how to look at things.
Yeah.
I'd have to say I'm a realist. I'm very optimistic on things. I look on the brighter side of things, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't...
But
I don't sugarcoat everything.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think that you can be an optimistic realist.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Is maybe a good way of putting it.
Yeah, because being around people that are the pessimistic and down on everything and woe is me all the time.
What do you do with that?
Just block it.
Do you block it?
You get, because, like even on Facebook, you see the post about poor me. You just kind of like scan past them after a while because you're just like, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, right, exactly.
One of the times something's going to be really bad, you'll be like, oh, I missed it because...
Yeah, because all the 100 other things didn't... Yeah, totally get that. But let's run through this scenario. You have someone in your life, and they have not, and I don't care who it is in your life, but just someone in your life, and they've not experienced what you've experienced, or they have from a distance or whatever, and they're that way. What do you do? And I'm saying I'm sure, I don't know this, but I'm sure you had it.
Right off the bat, right. I have a negative Nelly, as you might want to call it.
Yeah. What do you do? What have you done? And have you ignored it?
There's been a couple times I think I have addressed it with him, like going, can't you, but at least, like, if he's complaining about this kid or that kid, or this not happening, or this not happening, I'm like, but he did this for you. Yeah. He did the dishes. He might not have done them the way you wanted to, but he did the dishes.
Yeah.
She baked
I call
the
that
meal.
Destination.
She baked a meal, but she might not have baked it just the way you like it baked, or how you would have done it.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad she made you a meal?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's kind of stuff drives me totally nuts. Like,
yeah.
I try not to. I have to remember that sometimes on myself. Okay, at least they got the clothes out of the room into the hamper for me to wash.
My kids would probably tell you something different. I don't know. I'm a bad dad, no doubt. I'm a good dad sometimes too, but boy, I've screwed up.
Oh, me too.
But
as a mom, though.
Right. But the laundry, like, I've made my kids do their laundry since they were young because I think it teaches so much responsibility. And good, bad, or in between, that's just how I am. But so you're way
Yeah,
ahead
well,
of me on
they know how
that.
to do the laundry. 'Cause
I know they know, but like to me, it's like, okay, you have the responsibility. It's like multi-level, right? So, okay, you can put your laundry off for a really long time and be okay because you have other clothes and things like that, and then all of a sudden you got to start wearing dirty stuff.
turning underwear inside out.
Right. And nobody wants to do that. Not for very long. No. I don't care. I'm not talking at 5 years old, but 11, 12 years old, they start to get the concept. And so that teaches a lot of levels of responsibility, planning ahead so that, okay, we're going to be doing this and I need these clothes. So clothes take a little bit of time to wash them. You can't do it in 5 seconds. So that's just kind of how I am. And so you're a much better parent than I am because you're helping them out with that. Now I feel lazy.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
It's only me. I don't have that much laundry. So why would I use
Yes.
So it's one of those things.
I didn't mean it as
a load a day.
I'm slamming myself, not you, and I'll understand that.
When my mother-in-law watched the boys, the one time I went on vacation, she goes, they even did their laundry too. I'm like, well, they do I keep it pretty basic for them, how to do it, so they don't have to get too worked up about it, and so they can do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're not totally helpless.
Well, let's wrap up real soon here with this. I want to, I kind of get off squirrel too. That person, let's talk about that person that's wallowing in their stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And here's what I want to say about that. And I've really learned this myself because I get stuck here too, because I'm like, especially it took me probably a year or two to get to this place, because I was really like, are you kidding me? Do you see what I just went through? I mean, I was really like angry about it. Like, why are you complaining about this? You're ridiculous, right? And I didn't say it to him, but I'm processing it that way.
You have a flat tire. I have this.
Yeah. But what I realized was that was a pretty big deal for them. Mm-hmm. Their losing their job was a pretty big deal for them. Flat tires, no, that shouldn't be a big deal. But what I want to say about that is one is I've learned how to be more compassionate, understanding that that's their big deal. But what I want to try to do a better job at is when I see those people that have that pain that they think is at the same level, I want to say, okay, help me understand that, right? And I don't know if you've ever read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but Stephen, and I'm going to mess his name up, so I'm not going to say it, but 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that's one real crucial thing in that book, and what he teaches, he's passed away now, but what he did teach for many, many, many years is that you need to get on that same playground that the person's at and have them help you understand where they're at, because that's a pretty traumatic and painful deal for them. But then also help them understand that they can't sit there and wallow in it and be okay. And I know that was the long way around, but I wanted to really explain it so that we can understand it a little bit better. And what do we do with those people? How do we be compassionate? And I want to learn, right? I'm not saying I know. I want to learn. How do we be compassionate with those people that they did lose their job or their dog, and they've never had anything but that as a traumatic event in their life? But what I found is they get stuck there for a really long time. And that to me is extremely dangerous mentally. I think that's really hard on a person mentally to get stuck there.
I've always had that thought that no matter how awful something might have been, there's always someone that has had something worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Totally. You know? It's accurate.
Yeah. My sister-in-law is paralyzed now from the waist down from an accident last fall.
Sure.
Now a friend's son is going to be paralyzed from the neck down.
Sure.
From his accident a month ago. Oh my God. You know, it's sad to look at one and be like, look what you have here.
Yeah.
You know? You have still all this. You're going to hold your granddaughter or grandson, whatever it is, that's coming in January.
Yeah.
You know? And you just... I guess when life gets you to that point, it's like... You're still blessed with so much more than so many other people.
Yeah.
Than half the world.
Yeah.
Or if not more.
Than half
more
the
than
world.
half. Most of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
God puts you through little things in your life, but it's how you handle it.
For sure.
And how you move forward with it.
What can we do to help each other, and what can we do to help others? I want to be able to talk to those people, like go and say, Yvonne, you're stuck. Knock it off. I mean, I'm simplifying it.
Right.
That's not, but you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we break through that wall of self-pity and wallowing in their problems and things like that? How do we break through that wall? What can we do? Do we sit there and watch it happen? Is that good?
Maybe sometimes it's better just to be someone that they can talk to at the moment.
Sure.
And then you can start, helping them
me
that
understand.
way. Help them understand. Help us
me understand
what they're going through.
Yes.
And if being able to relate to them, I think helps them feel better about what's going on.
Yeah. But we don't sit there and watch it though, right? We shouldn't, should we?
We shouldn't.
I've been guilty
and
of
there's some people that don't want anyone to bring them out of that though. And what do you do? What do you do then?
That's kind of what I mean.
Some people for them it's an attention thing.
For sure. And do we say that's an attention thing? And there's going to be people
and you can
watching this.
You know which ones are that way, and you just kind of like let them go.
And so there's someone that was in my life for many, many, many years, and he is very peripheral now, and I did kind of that, but I confronted it, right? And I just said, look, this is nothing, man, and it's a big deal once, but after that, figure it out. Don't keep circling around to the same place over and over again. That's a problem. And so that meant that he went on the outside, but I did what I felt was right, and I still think it's right, because I got a message 3-4 weeks ago saying, I get it. Took me a while, but now I get it. Yeah. Right?
You just want to yell at him, count your blessings.
Right. That was a hard thing to do, though, because I knew he would be gone. And he was.
Yeah.
And that was probably, I don't know, 8-9 years ago before Deej died that I did that. Took him a long time.
No, he's slow.
So what do we do? Like, what would you do if you saw me in the things that I've gone through, and I'm on the couch, and I love movies, as you can see. We're in my living room and that's what I spend my money on, as I don't go out to eat very much or whatever, but
can't even borrow any. You have Blu-ray. I don't have Blu-ray.
Yeah, there's a whole mess of under the closed doors over here on this part of it. The whole mess of DVDs too, and in fact, I've got boxes and boxes of VHS. If you want that, they're packed
I don't
away,
even have that anymore either.
Yeah, all right.
No, I think if I saw
what
you
I'm
get
saying,
to that
like, if
point,
I'm sitting on the couch and I'm working a little bit, but barely, and all these things that I'm doing that looks negative, and I'm making those posts that don't make any sense, and that I'm still stuck in those places. What do you do? Do you come to me? Do you not come to me?
If I knew you were in that position, I would probably come to you and say, hey, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Because this isn't working for you.
Yeah.
And it's not working for your kids. It's not working for your family.
Yeah.
You need to snap out of it.
Yeah.
Basically, and I'd have to find out what works for you to get your mind into the better place.
Yeah. I've brought people to the brick wall. I mean, like, jump in the car, let's go, figuratively, and brought them to their brick wall. And
I think I have too before now.
yeah,
that I remember.
And you know what? That has worked in most cases really well for me. Certainly in the long term, but I think we need to. And I don't mean that we need to do it in a dangerous way for them or whatever, and we need to listen to them. We need to get them to talk like you are and do, and then bring them to the brick wall, man. That's my opinion.
I'm just now remembering that I've done that now. A couple of times now. I can remember now just when someone's been on such a down, and I jump in my car and I went to her and said, I'm here.
Yeah. You have to face this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think more people need to do more of that. I need to do more of that. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I try to be there for my friends and family, and
yeah. You get the last word. I'm going to get the last word, but what I want to close with is this. I want you to specifically think of one person, not by name or whatever, but just a person, not someone you necessarily know, but a person that can benefit from your wisdom right now. What would you tell them? What do you think is one thing that you can think of that would just be crazy effective for one person listening right at this moment? And that might be me in a couple of weeks. I'm serious. Like I'll listen to this in a couple of weeks or whatever it is, whenever I end up having time. And that might help me.
Boy, it put me on the spot.
I know. That's the idea. Because that's the best. Yeah. Those are the best quotes. When you get put on the spot, those are the best quotes. That's the best wisdom. Just help that one person that is whatever. Maybe they drink too much Mountain Dew. I don't know.
Your teeth are rotting. No.
Right, yeah.
I'm just trying to picture somebody I can think of, but
I know that
you're gonna just put me on it.
I know that I'm nearly perfect and all, but pick on me a minute. What would you tell me? You know what I've been through. A lot of different weird things. I've talked about some of them today. But what would you tell me?
Right now I would be telling you, are you taking time to enjoy life anymore?
Yeah, good. That's really good. Are you asking me that specifically?
Yes, I am,
right at
because
this moment?
you're like on the go.
You're
like
I get in trouble because I am as busy as I am, and I do really when I enjoy it, I enjoy it really as big as I am busy and things. But there's a season of life that I'm still digging out of the hole. That's just the reality that I have to face for a few more years, and just digging out of the hole. So when I do enjoy it, I enjoy it in a big way.
Okay.
My wife and I just got back from Spain. We went to China last year, and we went to Ireland last year, and I love those things. We've had a couple other little getaways and stuff like that, but that's not every day. Yeah. I don't enjoy it every day like I should. Yeah, I enjoy life. I shouldn't say it like that, but I am busy.
And I think something for everybody is they need to take time for themselves and do what's best for them.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little better at that.
Not worry about so much about what Frank and George and Tina all think.
Yeah.
It's you have to take care of yourself.
Right.
And even to be a good person and a good parent or spouse or whatever.
Exactly.
You do need to take care of yourself too.
That's the spring, right? That's what, I mean, if you dry your spring out, you can't water other people.
Right.
You can't have good relationships. Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you. I get the last word.
Okay.
Yvonne, thanks for being here. Really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. This was fun.
It was.
Thank you.
You bet.